Welcome to the Vegan Squad Health and Fitness Summit. I am John Thomas, aka the Bodybuilding Vegan, and I am so glad you are here. We have so much information, knowledge, experience to share with you, and I'm so excited for all that you're about to get to learn. Make sure you guys stay until the end of the videos. There is a huge special going on. If you haven't already taken part in it, it will be in the description box down below. And I'm also going to include the link to the VIP tickets that you've already purchased in case you want to send it to a friend. If you need anything else, reach out to me or any of your Vegan Squad coaches. We're here to support you on your journey to becoming the best you can be with your health and fitness. We'll see you inside.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Alexis, for the hype up. I'm always excited to be in your presence and your energy. I want to talk today about longevity, the keys to longevity that I've learned on my journey, and I want to answer any questions that anybody has regarding this. So please feel free to drop in questions and engage, because this is extra fun when we all engage with each other. I hope that at the end of this call, everybody walks away with some information on how they can live longer by living better, by choosing different choices in their life that help them increase their quality of life and also longevity. We're going to talk very briefly about telomere health, because I think that is important and it is science proven on how longevity happens. But for the most part, I just want to keep this as basic as possible because we have an hour.
You're still muted.
You're still muted.
There we are. All good?
Yes, we can.
In the power of prompting. I didn't even.
You're still muted.
You're still muted.
There we are. All good?
Yes, we can hear you.
Awesome. Hello, good evening, everybody. Thank you, Alexis, for the hype up. I'm always excited to be in your presence and your energy. And seems to be like a good crowd here tonight. All right. I see some people are still joining, so give it some time here. So my question for everybody is, does anyone know what longevity means? We throw this word around, and do we really know what this means? Living longer and healthier, extending youth. Yeah, so longevity is about living longer. So it's living a long life, but it's not just your life. It's not just about lifespan. It's about the quality of your life. It's about adding life to your years. Because honestly, who wants to live longer if we're not going to live with good quality of life or with good health, right? So ever since I can remember, I would look around at the people aging and I would say, oh man, I'm afraid to get old. Like, I don't want to feel like that or be imprisoned in my body where I can't move and have the freedom to explore life and travel and move and just do all the things that I love. And it just scared me a little bit to think about that. And then seeing a lot of older people on prescription medications and dealing with chronic illnesses. And, you know, we hear it's genetics. If your family has this or that, then you're just going to have it too. And so you kind of feel very disempowered when you fall into that mentality. And I learned along this journey that, you know, genetics load the gun and lifestyle is what actually pulls the trigger. So yes, we can have certain genes for things, but our lifestyle is going to impact whether those genes are activated or not. And that's just so empowering to know that, yes, we can have genes for certain things, but we can actually impact how our life and our health turns out by our lifestyle. So health span, does anybody know what health span is? This is a little bit of a newer term, but I want to hear what other people think. So we got lifespan, now we got health span. So we're talking about living longer, extending life, adding years to our life, how healthy you are as you age. Good one, Alexis. Yes. So living free of chronic illness. Yes, Jessica, don't we all want to do that? That's why, you know, we choose the plant-based lifestyle and veganism. There's ethical reasons behind it, but we also want the health impact that it makes on our lives. The period of time you are healthy without chronic illness. Yes, Jen, exactly. So you're all giving me great definitions here. Health span.
You're still muted.
You're still muted.
There we are. All good. Why do we want to live longer if we're not going to have good quality of life and good health? So I think it's all intertwined, and it is important that we create a lifestyle and habits that are going to create good health and good quality of life, so that while we're on this earth, we're actually feeling good in our bodies, feeling vibrant, feeling healthy, feeling whole. So here are the longevity pillars. So we wonder, okay, longevity, we want to increase the years of our life. We want good quality of life. So what impacts longevity? So here we have 5 pillars. And as I read through them, you'll see that they're all intertwined and they all affect each other. So one is going to affect the other. And if we're struggling with one thing, we're probably going to have some issues on the other side of the spectrum. Feel free to drop any questions or comments. Again, I just want to keep reminding you to engage as much as possible. I'm here to answer your questions. The first thing is metabolic health. So metabolic health is all about our metabolism and how well we can process energy from food, and our blood sugar levels, and just, you know, the energy throughout the day. Metabolic health is affected tremendously by what we're eating. This is where diet has a huge impact. And I always tell people, choose the nutrient dense foods. So we want to look for the foods that have the most nutritional value. And then we want to use those foods throughout our day, incorporate them in different meals that we love. And then we want to use nutrient dense foods because yes, they have a lot of vitamins and minerals, but a lot of them are also anti-inflammatory, and inflammation causes a lot of chronic illnesses. So by avoiding the inflammatory foods, we're going to be feeling a lot better in our bodies. Another thing that's in metabolic health is the blood sugar stabilization. So if you notice, sometimes you feel that if you haven't eaten for a long time, your blood sugar drops, and then you have no energy, you're feeling tired, and then you eat something and you feel better. Sometimes people won't eat breakfast and they'll just have some coffee, and then they're starving, 3 or 4 hours later, because our blood sugar hasn't had an opportunity to be balanced. And it's just kind of spiking up when we have certain, foods that are a little bit higher in sugar, or we're spiking up our caffeine and giving ourselves some artificial energy, but we're not stabilizing our blood sugar. So, and to keep our metabolic health healthy and functioning well, we want to make sure that we're choosing nutrient dense foods, anti-inflammatory foods, and we want to stabilize our blood sugar, which is we're eating every 3 to 4 hours. And we're choosing meals that are balanced. So we want protein and fiber in these meals. Prioritize protein and fiber. The next pillar that I want to talk about is the hormonal balance. So hormones affect everything. I think we all know that, from our mood, our sleep, our appetite, energy levels. And hormonal balance is so important for our overall health. If you are not getting enough healthy fats in your diet, it's going to affect your hormones. If you aren't prioritizing, like I said earlier, balanced meals that are balanced with protein and fiber, you might be affecting your hormonal balance because it's going to affect your blood sugar throughout the day. So again, they kind of intertwine one with the other, and it's the same concept here. We want balanced meals every 3 to 4 hours. We want healthy fats, protein, fiber, keep our hormones balanced, keep our metabolism functioning. I have a question here from Wolf. He said, how can you tell if your metabolic health is on track? Usually if you're feeling energized, if you're feeling that your metabolism is functioning well, and you're not struggling to lose weight. Some people will put themselves on a calorie deficit and they still won't drop any weight. And it's probably because they have downregulated their metabolism and thyroid function from years of dieting and not nourishing their body enough. So we come from a culture of a lot of dieting and fasting and not supporting our metabolism. So if your metabolism is struggling, you'll know because you'll probably feel low energy. You're probably going to struggle with sleep, and you're probably going to struggle losing weight. So those are some of the markers that you can look at, your blood sugar levels, how your blood sugar is affected. So great question, Wolf. Thank you for asking that. I hope I answered your question. I'm going to move on now to, I know I spoke a little bit about the hormonal health, and I didn't mention the regulating stress and prioritizing sleep and sleeping and exercising regularly. So those are a few other things that really help with hormonal balance. So yes, we want to have balanced meals every 3 to 4 hours. We want to make sure we're getting enough sleep. That's 7 to 8 hours a night for most people. And we want to exercise regularly. That's also going to help our hormones as well and our metabolism. So, and regulate stress. That's a big one. Chronic stress is something that really can affect our aging. We'll get a little bit more into that later. Ashley is asking, is arthritis genetic? Does it happen to all of us as we get older, just like our parents? Good question, Ashley. So yes, rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune disease, and it is genetic. It could very well be genetic, arthritis in general, not just rheumatoid arthritis. But like I said earlier, genes is like loading the gun. So you can carry a gene for something, you can carry the gene for breast cancer, you can carry the gene for arthritis, but how your lifestyle, how you live your life and the choices you make are going to either pull that trigger or not. So you can still impact and avoid falling into a certain illness that is genetic in your family by choosing a plant-based diet, by regulating stress, by eating balanced meals and keeping your blood sugars in balance, by getting enough nutrition in your diet, with the nutrient-dense foods. So all of these things, this is why I think it's so empowering to learn about health and wellness and longevity, because it helps us realize that the power truly is in our hands, and we don't have to feel like we're just stuck with something and we're just going to end up like everyone else in our family. So don't feel disempowered at all. Remember that you can continue to choose the lifestyle that is going to support longevity and health in the long run. Another pillar that I have recently gotten on this huge trend of muscle mass, because when I first started working out, it was all about aesthetics and I wanted to feel strong and empowered. And like now science is proving that muscle is so much more than that. It is a longevity tool. It is great for metabolic health. It is something that is going to build bone density, improve heart health, mental health, and just overall quality of life. Something that I talk to a lot of women about is that 80% of women are having hip fractures later on in their lives. And usually within 5 years after that, they're passing. And so a lot of women are ending up with fractures in their bodies. They're ending up having to have surgery or in a nursing home to be taken care of. And a lot of this comes from the lack of muscle. Women were not taught a long time ago that it's important to build muscle. It was more of, let's do cardio, let's burn fat, let's stay skinny. Skinny is what's in. Now we're realizing that women need muscle too. We all need muscle, not just women, but women need muscle for their long-term health. It was something that we didn't think we really needed, but it's definitely going to improve your quality of life and keep you from being frail when you're older and needing to have your family take care of you. I think it's Dr. Vonda Wright. I listen to her a lot. She's an orthopedic surgeon, and she talks about, the women that come to her table and are crying, and they're like, I've taken care of my entire family my whole life, and I've never felt like this, that they're so frail and they're so weak. And, she just cries because she sees so many women suffering in their old age. And so she's very passionate about letting women know the importance of building muscle and starting young, because after the age of 35, we start to lose muscle mass a lot faster. So we need to prioritize our protein. We need to do some resistance training so that we can stimulate that bone density. And yes, Alexis, get strong, not skinny. I know you're an advocate for that as well. I've seen your transformation you're just phenomenal. I've seen you, completely transform that mentality as well. And we're here to just continue to show women that we want to take up space. We want to get strong, and it's not about just being skinny. More muscle today, more years tomorrow. Yes, Wolf, I love that. That is a great way to look at it. So yes, build your muscle now, and you're putting in years for longevity in the future. So that, I think that's why I work so hard now on my fitness journey. When some people are not sure why I'm so adamant about making sure I don't skip my gym days, and I'm progressively overloading constantly, and I want to grow, and I'm hitting my protein goals. It's like, what are you doing? You're not a bodybuilder. You're not going to compete. And it's like, no, but I am 41, and I did not do this. I did not prioritize this lifestyle earlier on in life. So now I have to take this seriously, and I hope I can encourage others to do the same. Jen said, I work out to build muscle so I can avoid injuries that will impact me later in life. Also, I can lift my 100-pound generator. I've seen you do that, Jen. You are a powerhouse. So yes, you cook all day, you prep, you take care of the public, and then you still clean it all up and lift that generator and get on home. So I'm so proud of you. You've had an incredible transformation in your own life, and you're just an advocate for veganism, for strength training, for all of it. So thank you for sharing that. Oh, Alexis, you're so sweet. Doesn't Allie look amazing? Jen is Superwoman. Yes, she really is. I don't know if I've seen her at these markets, these vegan markets we go to, and she truly is. She barely sleeps. She just works so hard. All right. My screen. Oh, there we go. Nope, I wasn't done with that one. Sorry. Go back. All right. So the next pillar I wanted to talk about. That's a fault, no sleep. We need to work on that one. We're going to work on that one a little bit, Jen, since sleep is so important. Nervous system regulation, using tools such as breathwork, meditation, grounding techniques, tapping, and mindfulness. All of these tools can really help you regulate your nervous system. I'm sure we've all heard it. You know, we spend so much time in stress mode, fight or flight mode. Back in the days when we had to run from a tiger and survive, you know, out there, it was different. You had that one stress response that you would have stress, and then you were able to calm back down. But in this day and age, we have like small amounts of stress all day long. So we have stress. Ashley, I don't mean to stress you out running from tigers. I think you got it. You can do it. But yeah, so nowadays our stress is constant. We're constantly overstimulated, from the cell phones to, you know, the to-dos, the bills, the people that we have to feed, the responsibilities that we have. So we have this constant, you know, stress, that's this chronic stress that is always around or affecting us and our health. And if we do not incorporate tools to help us regulate this stress and remind our body that we are safe, that we are okay, that there's no tiger chasing us, Ashley, we're going to be okay. You know, something that I like to tell people a lot is something as simple as just closing your eyes in moments that you're feeling stressed, and put your hand over your heart so you can connect to your heart space and just breathe into your heart center. And that is going to help you calm your nervous system, feel safe. And it's just so important for us to be able to do that. I know that for many years, I lived in a very chaotic state, feeling very, you know, like frenetic and just kind of confused. And so it wasn't until the last 20 years of my life that I realized how important it is to ground and to remind myself that I am safe. And I like to sit outside in nature. I like to do breath work, yoga, meditation, you know, all those things. I just incorporate them throughout my days, and I try different things. So I encourage you guys to do the same thing. Find what works for you. It doesn't have to be complicated. You don't have to go to an hour or 2 hour long yoga class. You can just weave moments into your daily life, whether that's a 5-minute breath work, meditation, or reminding yourself every 3 hours by setting an alarm on your phone and says, breathe. Or you could be like John, my partner, who decided to tattoo breathe on his hand because he was having such bad panic attacks and he was forgetting to breathe. So now he looks at his hand regularly and he reminds himself to take some deep breaths. Wolf said music regulates his nervous system. Yes, music is so profound in how it can affect our nervous system. And you just have to find what kind of music works for you. Good, John. I'm glad you're breathing right now. So yeah, we all have the tools that we need. We just have to find what works for us. And if we try to complicate it, we won't stick with it. So that's why I always tell people, just find what works for you, whether it's playing a meditation song, whether it's putting, breathe on your hand, whatever it is that's going to help you remember to come out of that mind where we're in our mind thinking about the future so much. Come back to the present moment, breathe, ground yourself, feel your feet on the ground, and just remember that you're safe and it's okay. All right, so moving on to the last pillar, this is cellular health. So cellular health, our cells are constantly communicating with each other, repairing, regenerating, and organs. The health of our cells is the foundation of our overall physical health and well-being. So good cellular health is what leads to longevity and vitality. And it's how we can support the aging process. So we want to be healthy on a cellular level. This is like down to the cells. We want to make sure our cells are processing, are communicating, are able to repair, regenerate, renew, and do all the processes that they need to do so that we can be healthy and strong and be free of chronic illness. So how do we determine cellular health? And this is where I get a little sciencey, but we're going to keep it brief. Has anyone here ever heard of the term telomeres? Based on a few of the comments that I saw at the beginning, maybe. Yes, Alexis, awesome. Alex, like shoelaces. Yes, that's exactly it. Melina, for sure. Yep. Awesome. So I'm with the right crowd. You already know what telomeres are. They are considered to be like the plastic end caps of the shoelaces, but they are the plastic end caps of our DNA. They protect our DNA. So the telomeres protect your DNA during the cellular division process. Okay, so as our cells are dividing, that telomere is protecting it so that we can make sure that we're not aging at a faster speed. So as we get older, when they measure telomeres, the telomeres are a lot shorter. And the goal is to preserve our telomeres as much as possible with lifestyle. Through our lifestyle choices, we can shorten them faster, but we can also preserve them. And we'll get a little bit more into that as we move along. And I just want to see here, Alexa said, oh my God, I love our community. Me too. Everybody here, like-minded individuals on this path for health and fitness and improving our overall health and longevity. So we're all here to be billboards for longevity and health and fitness and wellness and all of it. The ends of shoelaces. Yes, Jen. All right. So these are 3 little facts about cellular health. So telomeres, I'm sorry about the telomeres. Telomeres are markers of biological aging. Telomeres are affected by lifestyle choices. So this is actually where I talked about genes load the gun, lifestyle pulls the trigger. And telomeres protect DNA during the cell division process. So we need those telomeres at the end of the chromosome to protect the DNA so that we can avoid things like chronic illness and the aging process as much as possible. So why do telomeres matter? Have you ever noticed 2 people who are the same age, but one looks much older? Anybody wants to drop in a comment here? I know I have. I see that quite often. And lifestyle plays a huge impact in that. Most people do guess that my age is almost a decade younger than I am. And I will say a lot of it has to do with my lifestyle and the fact that I prioritize things like sleep and meditation and dealing with my emotions and, eating the most nutritious meals, vegan, obviously plant-based vegan diet, eating lots of nutrient-dense and anti-inflammatory foods. Kayla said me versus everyone I graduated with. Jess, yep, my high school friends look older than I do. Jess, you look incredible. I mean, I couldn't believe how old you were when I found out. But yes, you are a walking billboard for longevity as well. Melissa said, yes, definitely. Dustin, definitely. Same, LOL, Susanna said. So yeah, we see it all the time. Maybe we sometimes go back and visit friends and family and we realize, wow, like not all of us have aged the same. You know, what's happening here? And sometimes it happens in your own family. So you realize genes are not all of it, because you have the same genes, but you have different lifestyles. Alexa said, our vegan squad coaches are vampires for sure. Yep, and we're giving out all the secrets. Alex said, I'm constantly mistaken for being anywhere from 18 to 21 when I'm 35. That's amazing. So welcome to the longevity train. You're already on it. Ashley said, I've never been told what age I look like. I think I'm still too young. Yes, Ashley, I was just like you. When I was your age, people thought I was like 12. And then as I got older, things changed. But yes, I've always looked a little bit younger. So yeah, it's going to take you another 15, 20 years before you even have to worry about that. Melissa, I just turned 30, but people always guess 24 to 25. I agree, Melissa. You do not look 30. Ashley, you're our baby. You definitely are, Ashley. All right, so getting back to this, I have here, so yeah, it's definitely possible. Chronological age is one thing. So yeah, that's the age that we actually are. And our biological age is something completely different. So our biological age is determined by the health of our telomeres. If you're wondering how they measure that, that's how they can measure it. And what are we trying to do? We're trying to have a very young biological age. That's why we want to be a part of the summit and learn all the tricks and tools so that we can all, you know, age gracefully and have longevity. Ashley said she thought Melissa was turning 25. So shorter telomeres lead to, what do they lead to? They lead to accelerated aging. Sorry, guys. They lead to chronic disease, cognitive decline, and inflammation. And I know that, you know, one of the things that people are always talking about is inflammation. Inflammation in the body is what leads to a lot of chronic disease and illnesses. So all four of these are important. This is more reason why we want to preserve the length of our telomeres. What accelerates telomere shortening? So chronic stress, poor sleep habits, inflammation, sedentary lifestyle, highly processed foods, burnout, and emotional suppression. So we're going to go into each one of these. Oh, sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. My battery's running low here.
While Sally is doing that, can everyone type their number into the screen? Which one do you think you need to work on? I know for me, I'm going to type this in now. My team knows this. 2, because they're always telling me to sleep more. They're also, and 6, I need to speak about my feelings more.
All right.
Ali, I just want everyone to type in the numbers that they think they need to work on whilst you're doing that.
Oh, wow. That was a great idea. We got 6, 2 to 6, 2 to 6, 2 and 6. So a lot of 2s and 6s, huh? 1, chronic stress. Alex, I've seen that. The burnout is real. I know you're doing what you love, but we got to figure out how to balance it out so we can preserve those telomeres, because you're still a young pup. Right, so we have a lot of 2 and 6. Ashley says she thinks she's the only one here that sleeps a lot. I don't compromise sleep either, Ashley. I feel you on that. 6 and 3. I want to stay a young pup. All right, so we'll go into a little bit. Chronic stress, it's actually known as the leading cause of telomere shortening. Alex, I'm not calling you out at all, but I'm just, you know, that is the leading one. So that is the that's priority, definitely. how do we handle chronic stress? We want to find balance in life. We want to make sure we're taking time for grounding and breath work and meditation and, just to regulate the nervous system and do those things that we need to do. Poor sleep habits. Sleep is crucial for telomere health. During sleep, the body is able to reset, repair, and preserve the telomere health. So yeah, sleep is so important and it's underrated. Some people like, I can function fine just on 3 or 4 hours. But honestly, our body needs sleep. It needs sleep so that it can recover, it can repair. It needs, all these cells, they're working at night. There's so much happening while you're sleeping. And if we're not going deep enough into that deep sleep, we're not getting that good quality REM sleep that we need for the healing and regeneration to happen. Sorry, I'm just reading through here to see if I'm all good. Alex said, makes sense. Thank you for giving me the tools to regulate. Always. All right, I see everybody's just communicating, so I'll keep going. The next one is inflammation. So one great thing about being vegan and being on a plant-based diet is most of the time we're eating a lot of fruits and veggies, and those are all anti-inflammatory foods. Something I like to tell people a lot is before I went vegan, I was having a little bit of arthritis on and off in my joint in one of my fingers, and my knee would bother me sometimes when I'd work out, and none of that happens to me anymore. So cutting out dairy, cutting out meat, and eating all these high anti-inflammatory foods on this plant-based diet has tremendously reduced inflammation in my body. And I'm sure other people here can attest to that. And yes, inflammation in the body leads to so many chronic illnesses. So diet plays a huge factor in that, as well as, stress and regulating emotions. Sedentary lifestyle, lack of movement, people that have desk jobs or just don't get enough movement in their day-to-day lives, that's why we have step goals. That's why we say, get to the gym, work out, and find movement in any way that you love. You don't have to be super structured or do something that you're not going to enjoy. When I first started, I just wanted to move my body a little bit more. So I just started by doing things that I love. I've found that love for rollerblading. Alexis, I know you and I have talked about this. I hadn't rollerbladed since I was a kid, and I realized that I loved it and I missed it. So I started rollerblading, and then I started doing yoga, and then I started doing dance, and I just started doing things that I love, riding bike. And then eventually I started working out at the gym. But you don't have to do things that you don't love. Just find ways to move your body. Park further when you're going to stores. Make yourself walk a little bit more. Choose the stairs. You can incorporate all these little choices throughout your day just to help you get moving more. I actually used to have a desk job, and my feet would always get swollen from sitting so long. And I was in my 20s. So age does not matter. What matters is how you're living your life. So definitely move the body. It's so important. Highly processed foods. I'm all about the 80-20 rule, guys. I'm not going to be militant about your food, but I definitely say whole foods are super important. If you can choose whole foods at least 80% of the time, that's where you're going to get most of your nutrition. You can't just supplement with everything. It is important to eat foods that are nutrient dense to make sure that we're contributing to health and longevity. I just saw Alexa say she rollerblades more than she walks in Barcelona. Oh man, that's wonderful. I want to go to Barcelona just for that. That sounds amazing. Alex said he loves Alex Yang. I love rollerblading. So we have another rollerblader here. Let's do it. All right, I'm going to get back over here. So the last one is burnout and emotional suppression. Emotional dysregulation floods the body with inflammation and stress hormones. So again, if we're not dealing with our emotions, if we're not speaking our truth, expressing our needs, using our voice in the ways that we need, we're going to have emotional suppression, and burnout happens from chronic stress. So it is important to do things. For me, what has really helped me, because I was a big emotional suppressor. I was big on not expressing my needs because needs weren't important. growing up in my household, we just were told like, we don't really care about that. Just, you got to do what you're told. So journaling has completely changed my life. I get to pen to paper everything and talk about how I'm feeling and express myself, and it's like I can just be super vulnerable and allow it all to come through. And some things that I like to do sometimes is I'll burn the paper when I'm done if I'm really wanting to release something. And so it's like free therapy, and it really helps reconnect to what you're feeling inside so that you're not just bottling things up and acting like you're fine when you're not, and you're creating resentment or emotional issues. So don't underestimate emotional suppression, guys. It even affects our aging. What supports telomere health? So we've talked a lot about what shortens the telomeres. Now let's talk about how can we preserve it. Regular movement. So mobility, exercise, walking, any kind of movement, get moving. It's so good for you. Strength training, because we talked about muscle mass and the importance of muscle mass. It's more than aesthetics, it is longevity. It's all about building that bone density through resistance training, and it is a key to longevity and vitality. Anti-inflammatory and plant-based foods. I've brought that up a couple times. Yes, plant-based foods and being on a vegan diet, we're going to eat a lot more anti-inflammatory foods when we choose fruits and vegetables. There's a lot of polyphenols, antioxidants, and just a lot of nutrients in there that are going to help reduce inflammation in the body and nourish our body with nutrients that our body needs to function properly, to nourish our hormones and our thyroid and our metabolism, and getting enough protein so that we can recover and build muscle. And also, protein is just important as we get older. It's the building blocks of life. Restorative sleep. During deep restorative sleep, cells repair, regenerate, and recover. So it's not just about sleeping, it's are we sleeping? Are we getting into that deep restorative sleep where the actual healing happens? If you're not already using something like a Fitbit or an Oura Ring or something like that, I would highly recommend it. It tracks your sleep, gives you a sleep score. It gets a little addictive because every morning I wake up and I go to see my sleep score to see how well I did. It's like I'm being graded on my sleep. But it's very helpful because you'll notice patterns. You'll notice on days that you didn't get into a deep REM. You might still be sleeping the same 7 or 8 hours, but it might, like, that's the time that you were sleeping. But when you look at your watch, you actually only got about 5 hours of sleep because that was the only time that you were actually in a deep sleep. So I always say data is important. We don't know what we don't know. Once we know things, then we can work on improving it and create new routines and new habits to help us. How do you feel about naps? Are they helpful? Sally said. So yes, I have had a lot of restorative naps that have been like 30 minutes, and I have gone into a deep sleep that when I woke up, I actually felt like completely restored. It's not the length of time. Sometimes it's how deep can you get into that sleep? So, your brain waves, there's 4 different brain waves. Where are the brain waves going? Like, are you getting into those deeper, relaxing brainwave states where you're actually able to go into more of a healing, restorative, that if you can in a nap, that is going to be super helpful, Sally. Ashley said, how accurate are those sleep trackers? Honestly, Ashley, I don't know. And I know there's different variations out there. I've been using a Fitbit and, it works for me for the most part. I'm usually an 80 or 90 sleep score, which is great. If I go into a 70, then I know like I struggled a little bit, and I try to use it. I get the information and I try to see how accurate it is on how I feel. So I wouldn't say use the watch as like the end all be all. I always bring people back to tune into their own body, because you know how you feel better than any apparatus, any gadget. So always use that data, but then come back and actually connect with, do you feel rested? Do you feel like you actually had good quality sleep? Are you feeling calm and at peace? Like if we're waking up sleepy and tired every day, we're not sleeping enough. I know people that can sleep 8 hours and still wake up feeling exhausted. Most likely they're backed up in sleep and they're not sleeping enough. They're not getting into a deep enough restful sleep. And for women, a lot of times our hormones, as we get older and we go through perimenopause and menopause, our hormones are affected and our progesterone decreases. And so we have that issue where we wake up at 3 in the morning and then we can't go back to sleep. So hormones play a huge factor in the quality of sleep as well. Jess said, my partner has a ring and it seems to be pretty accurate. Susanna said, yeah, I've read rings are more accurate. Alex, I've had some power naps before that are anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes and woke up feeling so refreshed. Me too. I can so relate to that. I thought it was normal to wake up tired, Ashley. No, we should be waking up feeling rested. Jess, and when you have pets or children, the broken sleep is a real thing. Yes, Jess. And sometimes the cycle of that can go on for years. And unfortunately, it's a season of life that you can't really change because you can't control the environment and the children and the pets. But, you know, hopefully you're still finding time to get those naps in and get to bed early when you can. Melissa said, that's my biggest struggle, waking up in the night, not sleeping deeply. Yes, Melissa, just, you know, keep working on that. Maybe check on your hormones. Magnesium is a great supplement too for helping us get to a better sleep. So I know we've talked about that before, Melissa, and I know you've struggled a little bit with that, and it depends on different times of the month as well. So definitely hormones, I think, play a huge factor for women when it comes to that. Kayla said, I sleep 8 to 10 hours a night, but have bad dreams 90% of the time that leave me drained when waking. Galaxy Watch gives me 90 sleep scores. So you're sleeping well, but it seems like the dreams are probably affecting you. And I'm not sure what's going on in those dreams, but maybe there's some stuff there. I always say dreams just bring up some suppressed stuff, like, I don't know, stuff that you can work through. All right, these comments are going pretty quickly. Does anyone else have to get up to pee a few times a night? Yeah, I at least once. And a lot of people say not to drink anything after, like, I don't know, like, I think Samara talks about this, to have your last drink at least like 3 or 4 hours before you're going to bed to avoid that. I see you, Samara. But it's hard. I'm going to say it's hard for me. I'm not going to lie. I like my hot chocolate. Anybody that sees me, I go to bed and I have a hot chocolate before bed because I'm not going to have sweet foods. So I trick my brain by having a hot chocolate with a little bit of stevia. And so that's like my routine every night. And that's why I wake up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Sally said she's had a lot of success with sleep meditations on YouTube. Yeah, sleep meditations are great. Sometimes I'll listen to a guided meditation and sometimes it's just meditation music, but that is a great way to help you get into those brain waves there to help you relax. All right. Alex, I have a Fitbit, and I would say that depending on how you're feeling the next day, along with the data, you either got good sleep or you didn't. Coach Samara said, I stopped drinking 2 hours before bed. I have herbal tea right after dinner, and that's the last thing. Yeah. So that is, if you're having that problem, waking up in the middle of the night, I would definitely do what Coach Samara is saying. All right. Coming back to my screen here. So nervous system regulation, chronic stress is the leading cause of shortened telomeres. It's important to balance emotions, regulate stress, and ground your energy. And then social connection and purpose. That's one that we haven't really talked about yet. And that is so important. And that's why being a part of the Vegan Squad community can really help with a lot of things, but also with this, because, you know, we need to feel like we have connection with other humans that are of similar like minds, especially uplifting, inspiring human beings that help you feel seen, validated, heard, and connected. So this community does that so well. For those of you that are a part of the community, you already know, drop in the comments how much you love the community, how much it has impacted your life. Let the people know, because it's made a huge impact in so many lives, including mine. And yes, people, like, we are humans are designed for connection. and we need connection. And I've had people tell me sometimes, I forgot how much I needed connection until I joined the community. And it's like, I love it so much. I love to be able to get on a live call like we're doing now and communicate with each other, even though we're in different time zones and we're all over the world, in different places, and we can still connect here and share space with each other. And then purpose, it's another one that is so important. You know, you hear people that have thankless jobs and they're not happy to go to work and they don't feel like they have much purpose. And if you don't feel like you have purpose in the world, that's going to affect your telomere health, probably your mental health, but also your telomere health. So find purpose. And purpose doesn't have to be that you have like this huge purpose where you're going to make the biggest impact in the world. Purpose could be being a mom and taking care of your children. It could be anything, helping others change their lives by giving, you know, just sharing the wisdom and the knowledge that you've gained throughout life. It could be just being a light wherever you go and encouraging others and being hopeful and like sharing hope and inspiration. So, and purpose can change. Some of us spend our whole lives looking for that purpose, thinking that is that one thing that we have to do, but we have more than one purpose. And as long as you're feeling purposeful and you're creating an intentional and purposeful life, you're supporting your telomere health. And I love to see all of these comments in here. I've seen quite a bit of people talking about how much they love the community and it's the best community ever. It's life-changing. Yes, 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 I agree. 100,000%, guys. Met the kindest people on here, Susanna said. Even if everything sucks, veganism gives us purpose. That is so true. The animals are a purpose. It's what makes waking up each morning. I agree with you, Sally. And I think that's something that we all have in common here and what makes this community extra impactful. Your body is always listening. So I like to tell people we have over 30 trillion cells in the human body, and each choice we make communicates with these cells, safety or stress. So we're making choices every day. Every single day we're making choices, and our cells are listening. They're listening and they're responding to the choices we make. We can communicate to our cells through the foods we're choosing, through the movement, rest, through our thoughts, whether they're positive or negative. So every day our body is listening, our cells are listening. And so don't ever undermine the amount of effect that your mind and your mental state has on your cells, you know, on your health. The more positively you speak about yourself, about your body, about your health, about, you know, you can say an affirmation. One that I like to say is, I am aging gracefully. Our cells are listening. My cells are healthy and always recovering and regenerating. Like, find some affirmations about longevity, about health, about healing, about, you know, peace, about anything. And your cells are listening to you. So not only are they listening through your voice, but they're also listening through your actions and your choices. And the food communicates. There are chemicals that communicate to the body. So that's why choosing healthy and whole foods, nutrient-dense foods, is giving the information to our body that here's nourishment and here we can heal and we can grow and recover. So all of that has a huge impact on our cells. Alexis says, I love using, I have the bio age of a 25-year-old. Aw. Yes, you do. You definitely have the energy. Ashley, everything I do is for them. Yes, Ashley, you're a great advocate for the animals. We love that about you at such a young age. Longevity, guys, is a daily practice. There is no one thing you're going to do that's going to create longevity. It's a daily practice. It is through the habits that you choose, through the choices that you make every day. The goal isn't just to extend your life. It's to deepen it through daily choices and habits that support longevity. So this isn't a marathon. We're not rushing to get there. We're just making better choices every day. We're speaking kindly to ourselves. We're nourishing our body. We're nourishing our mental state, our emotions. It's all important. When we support telomere health, regulate stress, build strength, and create balance, we create a life that feels vibrant and meaningful. And the missing link is balance. So we talked a lot about things that we can do, ways we can move our body, exercise, nourish ourselves, emotional regulation, like all these things that we talked about. But balance is so important. I'm such a proponent of balance because if you think about it, if you spend your whole life running, what's going to happen? You're going to get to a point of exhaustion, burnout, and you're not going to reach the end. So we talk about the tortoise and the hare. The tortoise is still going to get there, but they're going at their own pace. So this isn't a marathon. We don't need to rush into anything. We have to have moments where we ebb and flow. That's how life is. So the key is to create a balanced life, supporting all the pillars of longevity without trying to do everything perfectly. So allow discipline, but also allow compassion. Find structure, but allow flexibility to go with the flow. Push hard for growth, but give yourself enough time to recover. Just like nature teaches us through the seasons, life is meant to ebb and flow, move with consistency, and avoid the extremes. So extremes are just going to burn us out. We want to move with consistency. We want to be gentle with ourselves, and we want to find balance. Sally said, oh my God, you're so right. Touching the earth and being close to the dirt and nature seems to really help center me when I can't find balance. Yes, same, Sally. Anytime I'm feeling frazzled or any type of way, I can just sit outside and put my feet on the ground or sit on the earth, and I immediately just ground myself, and I can take a few breaths and feel 100% better. I see we're still talking about rollerblades. I love rollerblades. It's what keeps us youthful. Wolf, is it possible to check and test your telomeres and actually grow them? Wolf, I haven't done enough research on that. I know there's an enzyme, telomerase, that our body produces, and it can actually, I think it helps lengthen our telomeres. And I'm reading a book about this. I will share that a little bit more with you off air, because I haven't finished the book yet, but it's all about telomeres and longevity. And yes, there are ways that we can preserve and possibly even lengthen, and there's ways for them to test the length of your telomeres. But eventually we get to a point where it's not going, we're going to age, no matter what, past 70s or something. So yes, there are ways that we can actually grow them just a tad. Michael said, as I age, I'm surprised how my balance is going to poop. Oh no, Michael, we need to work on that. Building those neural connections in the brain to help us find balance. Yoga is a great way to teach you balance in so many ways, with your physical body, your mental body, emotional body, all of it. All right, guys, so we've come to the end here. This is the Vegan Squad coaching method, where we help you build a custom plan. We help you hit your protein, train. We have a very holistic approach. As you can tell, if you've been a part of the summit this weekend and you've heard all of the coaches speaking, we have a very holistic approach. We do believe that we can help you build healthy habits to support longevity. This isn't a marathon. This isn't a race. We're here for the long haul. We're here to build healthy habits and choices every day to support longevity, vitality, overall health, and wellness. And here at the Vegan Squad, we want to help you do that. If you're not already a part of the community, I would love to see you join. I know I have a few other of my Vegan Squad members that want to jump in here and speak a little bit. So I am going to end the presentation now and let them speak.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ali. That was so informative. I know personally, like, Ali's completely changed my life. There's so many people that have been trying to tell me to sleep and slow down and rest for so many years. She left me one voice message. You don't know this, but that's completely changed the trajectory of my life. Now I prioritize myself. She was like, if you don't look after yourself, you're going to affect everybody else. I'm like, that's very true.
Oh.
Alrighty. So we have one really, really special offer. This is a...
You're still muted. You're still muted.
You're still muted.
There we are. All good?
Yes, we can hear you. If you want to gift it to somebody as well, I was speaking to someone who was on one of the calls, and I was asking her, and I said,
like, who in your life would benefit from working with us? And she was like, my brother. So she's sending it to her brother as well. I think it's the best gift. Like, what could be better than giving a gift of health and wellness to somebody else, especially to someone that you love?